find stress, which most people don't like, is its fear. That's basically what stress is, because it's called I'm stressed. It's not very cool to say I'm afraid. Fear and anxiety. Anxiety is just more chronic fear. So, from a biochemical point of view, it's all exactly the same thing. It's all cortisol, it's all adrenaline, it's noradrenaline, dopamine. Insulin goes up, testosterone, progesterone goes down. Same thing, same thing. Stress, fear, anxiety, same thing. So, why do we feel fear? Anyone? Why is it, okay, let's frame the question a bit better before we get to it. Why is it that one person can go into a situation and challenges come up and they just flow with it effortlessly and everything's totally cool? Or a different person goes into that exact same situation and they get afraid, overwhelmed, like feel like they can't cope, give up, run away, fight or flight? Why is it one person adapts effortlessly and the next person caves in, fights, flights or freezes?
Belief systems.
Learned behaviors.
Belief systems, learned behaviors.
Different paradigm.
Different paradigms.
Toxic overload.
Toxic overload. That's getting closer to what I have in mind. But these are all good answers.
Comfort zone.
Getting outside the comfort zone. Yes, absolutely.
Energy.
Sorry?
The energy.
The energy. Yes. The way that the Taoists look at it, and I realise this is just another way to frame things, it doesn't mean that belief is wrong or anything else is wrong, this is just a different way to frame things, is that if you have enough adaptive energy, which the Taoists call Jing, then nothing will really faze you. You'll never have fear, you'll never have stress, you'll never have anxiety. If you have challenges, if you have earthquakes happening around you, war, pestilence, whatever, you will just be in the flow, you will do your best, you will adapt to the situation as it comes up. This is kind of like the Taoist ideal, that whatever happens, you're just in the flow. And it's all good. And you do your best. Now, the reason that the Taoists are so into cultivating energy is because that's less about being a good person or whatever, and it's more about how much adaptive energy do you have. So you could be the most well-meaning person in the world, but if your reserve of this adaptive energy gets low, you will start to feel stressed and anxious. And there's a lot of instances. One of the biggest drains of adaptive energy, just to give you a practical example, for women, is childbirth. Simply because that comes from your parents, especially your mother. So your mother has actually given you your reserves of energy. So the amount of clients who I speak to, who are women, who are mothers, who are like, I was fine, I was confident, I was getting into my life, I was in the flow, and then I gave birth, and then I never recovered. And now I'm always anxious, and I'm stressed, and you know, and they're like, oh, it's because I've only had 2 hours sleep tonight. I mean, yeah, that's true, but that doesn't help with adaptive energy. Or they're like, you know, but this even happens to women who have like full-time nannies and, you know, whatever. This is, you've actually given a significant portion of the energy to your child. And it's very easy to get into, oh, but I still listen to the law of attraction, and, you know, I still have these positive beliefs and these positive paradigms. Why am I now feeling anxious for no reason? You know, it's because, I'd say it's more than just what's in your head, it's what's in your body. And that's what we're talking about. We're talking about a particular type of energy. So when your adaptive energy is low, that's the main thing. You feel stress, fear, anxiety. Now, we talked about the lungs and the spleen, so this one relates to the third organ system, and we call this the kidney organ system. Now, the kidney organ system actually relates to a lot of different things. I'll go through each one, and the common problems you get. It relates to the brain and central nervous system. So when your reserves of energy get low, you tend to have confusion, lack of clarity. Your memory starts to suffer. You can't think clearly. It relates to your reproductive system. So your hormonal levels start to go wrong. Cortisol and insulin tend to go up. Progesterone, estrogen, testosterone tend to go down. And then you get all those hormonal problems. Maybe you get infertility or sterility or menstruation problems or any of these things that happen with hormonal problems. And it relates to your bladder. And you tend to need to pee more frequently. And it relates to your bones, joints and tendons, and you start to tend to get, you know, soreness and stiffness and, you know, lack of flexibility compared to what you had before. And it relates to the adrenal glands. So this is what we already talked about. Suddenly the adrenal glands get very easily overstimulated. right? And it relates to the kidneys, of course, because it's called the kidneys. And that principally relates to us becoming dehydrated and low in electrolytes. So, my research has indicated to me that what the Taoists called kidney gene energy deficiency, the Western scientific way of putting that is to say you are dehydrated on a cellular level, irrespective of how much water you drink, and you are low in electrolyte minerals, especially magnesium, but also the other ones, sodium, potassium, quite often. So what happens is, especially when your body goes through fear, stress, anxiety, and that could be any kind of stress, right? It could be mental stress, like a deadline, it could be physical stress, someone's about to hit me, it could be traffic stress, it could be I've just had a big toxic overload stress, like you said, it could be I've just eaten way too often stress, it could be all of these different kinds of stress. All of those things cause the body to go into stress mode, and what it does is it excretes water and it excretes electrolyte minerals, especially magnesium. And when these electrolyte minerals go out, everything stops working properly. Probably enough of you have done some research in nutrition, and you know, if you're chronically deficient in magnesium and zinc and potassium and all the rest of it, your vitality plummets, everything stops working properly. All the enzymatic processes of your body can't work. So the main thing to focus on is to rehydrate and remineralize. Now, the Taoists actually didn't particularly emphasize either of those. They specifically isolated and talked about herbs as being the most important thing. Taoist tonic kidney herbs, which I sell on a blend called Rejuvenate, not quite in this country yet, but almost, they help you to rehydrate especially. They didn't focus on remineralize so much because, we used to eat wild, healthy, mineralized food. Now we eat cultivated, extremely mineral depleted, overly hybridized food. So these are like new issues. We used to have access to fresh spring water or nothing at all, pretty much, or well water. Now we have tap water, right? Or filtered tap water, which really isn't any better, no matter how many thousands of dollars you spend on a filter. I'm sorry, it's not anywhere near as good as what Mother Nature does to water, which is make it drinkable and make it hydrating on a cellular level. This is really what we want. Who's aware of the whole spring water phenomenon that swept the raw food world recently? Is that all? Come on, enjoy it. Oh, this is great. Excellent. Okay, findaspring.com. I went with my neighbour a couple of days ago to get spring water, and there was a queue outside the spring. There was 5 people waiting with their glass bottles to get spring water. Like, awesome. This is like a quiet revolution, again, which is, in my opinion, way more important than food. Okay? Way more important than food.